Hi everyone, and happy April. It's Kelly with Women for One, and today we are having a conversation with Jennifer Pastiloff. Jennifer Pastiloff created Manifestation Yoga, which is about having breakthroughs in your life without being too serious. I'm very excited to speak with her. She's a writer. She originally comes from Philadelphia and New Jersey, and now lives near LA. She's a yoga instructor. She's a blogger. She's just an amazing human being that is allowing women and men to feel comfortable in their own skin while they're doing yoga and throughout their entire lives. And I'm very excited to be speaking with Jennifer about everything she's done. She's created a karaoke yoga, which sounds like so much fun. So any of you yogis out there that are interested in hearing about a different take on yoga and just a listening to an authentic conversation from a beautiful woman, I think you'll really enjoy this interview. So in your yoga class?
Yeah, when I was practicing, I would be in the class and I would have no idea what was going on because I can't hear. So I would be the one standing there always, looking around first of all. So looking around as if like I'm looking to compare when I'm not. I'm looking because I don't know what's going on or doing the wrong thing. Everyone's in a warrior one and I'm in Pastiloff or warrior three.
Right.
So I realized I was constantly feeling bad about myself, and I still struggle with it. Constantly feeling bad about myself, feeling stupid, feeling not good enough, feeling deaf, feeling sorry for myself. So I went the other extreme. When I teach, I do everything. Probably my biggest thing in my class is people feeling safe in my class, and what I mean by that is emotionally. So no matter what's going on, no matter what, as long as you're being respectful, it's okay. Because I know I always felt lost. I was always doing the wrong thing, and I always felt afraid and alone. And so in my class, I created this thing of being kind of like, if you're lost, you gotta laugh. So there's this real sense of lightness and sense of humor in my class because of my own struggle with always feeling so kind of lost in the world, not knowing what's going on, not being able to hear,
Right. And like I said, I just would love to have you as a teacher with that emotionally safe place, that lightness, because I feel like so many people take themselves so seriously when they do yoga. And I love that place where you can just have permission to mess up or not have the perfect body or not have the perfect pose. It would just be, I want a teacher like you.
Yeah, they're out there. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I want to be in my class. But I do think, and we were speaking of this earlier before we recorded, we find what we look for. So you know how all of a sudden you were saying that you're meeting all these inspired people over and over again. We find what we look for. So I started really opening my eyes, and I keep finding these really sort of lighthearted, inspiring people, and I think they're out there. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it's just setting the intention of, this is what I want to attract. This is who I want to find.
Absolutely. And with that, we're very aligned in what we're both doing. I mean, I know you're a writer for several blogs, Positively Positive, and then you have your own website, but then you have this manifestation.
Yeah, well,
can you talk about that?
That's my blog, but
right.
I just haven't figured out yet how to put it onto my regular website. It would be really smart just to have everything at Pastiloff.com, and it does all. You can go through there, but Manifestation Station, I started as a blog, and that's really when my whole life changed, when I started at writing. Yeah.
It's beautiful what you're doing there. And the other thing I love is to have encourage other people to say what rules they live by. I mean, I read it, I was like, this is such a cool blog. I mean, and what you do is you can feel you. I can feel you coming through it, because it's like this. I don't know you personally, but I feel connected to you because you post the pictures. You have videos on there. You encourage others to share their rules, their thoughts for the world, and it's very inspiring. And that's what we're doing here at Women for One, is finding women that are inspiring others to manifest.
The rules to live by is great. I encourage anyone who's listening to go to manifestationyoga.com, and at the top you can add your rules to live by. That was born out of something I wrote on my email, like at the bottom of my email, was just like, Jen's rules, be kind, don't worry, everyone on Facebook seems like they have happier and funner lives. They don't. And so my friend was a school teacher, and they read my blog in his class, and this 14-year-old girl adopted them to her own, and, they were so cute. They were like, always have a dog. Sometimes don't just wear shoes sometimes. And so I thought, this is tapping into something. Yeah, so I brought it to my workshops and my retreats, and I still do. And I ask people to write down at least 10 rules to live by. And I do it with children, and when I'm at my friends' houses or I go to schools. And it's a really great way. You stick it on your fridge and see if you're living a congruent life.
Yes.
The person you want to hang out with. So if you're writing on there, sing out loud every day, ask yourself, am I singing out loud every day?
Right. Right.
Also, it's inspiring to look and see what other people have written, and it's fun and funny.
Yeah, it is. And it also reminds you of, what do I want to be? What do I want to be doing every day? And then, seeing if that's great to put it up on a fridge, because then you can really measure what you're doing. So can you talk a little about the different yoga that you've trademarked? Because I saw you on Good Morning America, and it's really inspiring to see the fun yoga you're doing.
Well, my company is called Manifestation Yoga, and really all that means, it's just my brand, and it means that I encourage people to have breakthroughs and to see what isn't serving them anymore, in order to manifest their dreams. So I use different ways to get there, and was this the name I came up with? Originally, I was described by Wayne Dyer. I'd been listening to him over and over, and I got that word manifest stuck in my head, and it started to do well, and I ran with it. Something I've learned is I keep trying to veer away from what I'm doing, and everyone always suggests, Jen, when something's working, go with it. So the karaoke yoga was born from the same lightheartedness you were speaking of. People would sing in my yoga class, consistent, and I'd play a song, and they'd start singing.
Right.
So I found out it's so fun. I found out they were doing karaoke yoga, spinning with karaoke on bicycles. And I asked if we could do it with yoga, having no idea how it would work with yoga, and it did. And Good Morning America featured us, and then since then we've been on numerous TV shows like Doctors and shows in England and Self Magazine. It's just this wacky thing.
That's great.
Dina Moring, the DJ, sets up her equipment and the screens, and the whole group sings at once as we do yoga, and it's about connection and sweating and doing a little yoga and not being perfect or good and silly. And
it's beautiful. I love what you're doing. And are you currently writing a book as well?
I'm writing a book. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. So I distract myself daily by writing these, daily essays. That's one of the reasons I'm so prolific. Because it's interesting. As much as I love the essays I write, it's such a way that I distract myself from writing this book. I'm writing a memoir. I have a book of poems written, and there's a novel in me somewhere. But memoir is definitely. I would love to have it done in the next 6 months. Yes, first and foremost, I think of myself as a writer. Yes, I'm writing a book. I'm owning that. I said yes.
Well, I'm sure you will be manifesting it very soon. It's coming. It's manifesting as we speak, right?
It is. My plan today, I'm going to actually do yoga. I've been sick for 2 weeks, so I'm going to go to a practice, and that inspires me to write. Actually, any type of physical movement.
Right. And what made you have make the choice to do the different interviews and conversations you did, very similar to me that way? What inspired you?
Like Christy Turlington.
Yes.
It was actually Christy. How did it go? Something about her. I was like following her on Twitter. She started to follow me back, and I just saw what she was doing, and I was so inspired by her Every Mother Counts.org. And,
which is so interesting because I just got off the phone with her media assistant, and I'm going to be doing an interview with her. I'm very excited.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
What's her name? Do you remember?
I think Deborah Duffy. Okay,
because Christy posted one of my essays on her site about in February, and I was in touch with someone, I couldn't remember her name, but she so lovely, and I just think that she's beautiful on the inside and outside, and I wanted her to do a guest essay or a guest blog, or I can't remember. She said, how about if I do a Q&A? My light bulb went off in my head. Why did I think of that? Okay, it's much easier. So I sent her cues, and she was so gracious and so lovely and amazing. And that started off for me, so it was her idea.
That's so great.
Yeah, I was just going to have guest posters, guest
Right.
authors.
Right.
So it's easier for people if you provide them, I think, with the questions.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I know it's been wonderful to provide all these questions for the different people that I've interviewed, and the conversation we have usually sparks more and more questions as we're speaking. So it's been a great ride around that.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's inspiring that, when you start to look around and find people that inspire you, that's one of the big things that I teach is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who inspires you? Are you letting yourself be inspired daily? So I start to find those people, and then I want them as part of my site, as part of my tribe, as I call it.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're doing as well, the same exact thing. And so sometimes it is a guest post, sometimes it's Q&A, sometimes it's a picture, whatever it is, but I want them as part of my tribe, as it were.
Absolutely. And you really find your people when you set your intent to do that. I love it. I mean, they just come. So if you had a couple of words of advice for our community, or a quote, anything that you would like to share to inspire and really do what you're doing on a daily basis, what is it that you say in your workshops or to your community on your blog or in your writing? What's the general theme?
I think we already covered the being authentic, but that really is, up there with everything that I teach and that I preach and that I write about and that I hopefully live is being authentic. And that is such a personal word because it means something different to everyone. But beyond that, there's a couple other things. One is find your tribe. Find the people that inspire you and surround yourself with them. And one of the cool things is, in my workshop, which is usually all women, I have people share out loud, and so quickly do they bond. And then you realize there are those people out there. So you find, that expression, it takes a village. You find when you're surrounding yourself with these people that are in a sense your cheerleaders, that want you to succeed, that want that for you, and you want the same for them. Really a way to say, how may I serve? So many things start to manifest in our lives. So it's find people that inspire you and surround yourself with them. Find people that love you.
Right.
And that you love. And because, I think it's actually kind of easy to get trapped into being around people that maybe put us down a little or that don't believe in us, whether it's conditioning or just circumstance. So really, even if it's just the internet, find the people that inspire you and keep surrounding yourself with them.
And I just have made me think of something. Don't you find that, do you ever ask I'm sure you do because you work with the body so much, that you ask the people that you're working with to check in with literally the feeling they get when they're around somebody, not their thoughts?
Oh, yeah, that's such a great point. I ask that all the time.
Like, how do you feel after you've interacted?
Totally.
Yeah, it's a big
one. I talk about it in terms of, it's interesting, I have a big thing with wanting to feel safe. And, I think we all have something, that's my thing I struggle with. Sometimes I say something too loud because it makes me feel safe. But certain people make me feel really safe, and I know when someone makes me feel really unsafe, it's a red flag for me,
Yes.
Yes, it's a feeling, it's a complete guttural, physical feeling that you can't even put into words. It really is about being able to be vulnerable. If you don't feel safe and if you don't have that feeling that you're speaking of, you can't be vulnerable.
Right.
Being vulnerable is so important to be. When I started letting myself be vulnerable in my writings, that's when I started to find my tribe, my people.
Right.
My success, really. Listening to Brene Brown talk about that, and it really shook the word. But being vulnerable, and you can if you don't feel safe. But also, love. I think love is a big one, and I'm not talking about romantic love, although that's nice, and all the rest. But really, this idea of coming from a place of love. And in one of my essays, talking about this idea, you know, of waking up one day in my 30s and going, oh, what have I done? How did I end up here? This isn't the life I was meant to live, right?
Yeah.
So, the essay is called What Have I Done? And the last line of the essay, which I love, sums up the whole piece, and it says, at the end of your life, you say one final, what have I done?
Right.
Let your answer be, I have done love.
I have done love.
I've done love. And I love that. It's like this idea of, like, no matter what, you know, you think you can define yourself. For me, I was a waitress for 13 years. You think that sums you up? No.
Right.
You think it sums you up that you know, your leg was amputated? No. You're divorced? No. You're 2 pounds overweight? No. You know, whatever, that you can't have a child? No. Mm-hmm. We get stuck in thinking that this or that or the other thing defines us.
Right.
What defines us, if anything ever does, is love, is our ability, is our capacity to love. And I think our capacity for love will carry us through most things in this world.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's a beautiful, I have done love. Who said that? Did you say that? Is that your quote? Can I quote you? I have done love. It's beautiful.
I quoted myself.
No, that's great. At the end of your life, the one thing you could say is I have done love. At the end of
your life, when you ask one final, what have I done? Let your answer be, I have done love.
Perfect. That's a beautiful, beautiful quote. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Jennifer. It was really good to connect with you, and I'm hoping in the future we can connect on other avenues. It's really beautiful to show how interconnected we all are. I mean, we really are. And
it's funny, actually, today, when you hang up, on Positively Positive, my essay is up. It's called There Is No S in Them. And
that's beautiful.
I really want everyone to read it. I actually want, especially teenagers, to read it. And I was actually inspired when I was in Seattle last month, talking to my son's 12-year-old daughter. She's talking about populars. And it just popped in my head. And so I wrote this whole piece, and really I said, there's no less in them. Now I know we're going to argue. Yes, there always is. There's always a rich and a poor, but essentially, yes, we are all interconnected. And when we start to remember that, and when we start to reach out and co-create rather than living in peace of fear, or like, there's not enough, I share my stuff, or, you know, they're not good enough, or I'm not good enough, whatever it is, that's creating a chasm.
Right. Absolutely. You know, I'll try to share that today on my website, on my Facebook.
Yeah, I'll email you the link too.
Perfect.
It's really an important one, and some of it, you know, my friend is a school counselor for middle schoolers. She's like, I'm going to edit just a little bit out and then give it to them all to read. You know, because I don't write it for an 8th grader to read, but really it talks about the hell that is known as middle school. And I think it's really important, especially for preteens or tweens, whatever you call them, and teenagers, and all of us to read about this idea of there is no S in them. And it's right in light of these, you know, things that have been happening in the world, and it's hard to think like that sometimes, I think.
And I'm so aligned with you on that, because, I mean, Gary Zukov wrote on pulling the root of violence, and, you know, when the Newtown massacre happened, and then this new thing at the Boston Marathon, it's like everybody wants to look outside themselves, and yes, we do need to, you know.
Oh my God, I have the children. He said that. It's so true. And then another thing people want to do that is very frustrating is then blame it on, you know, so it's these 2 brothers, and I don't think we know yet exactly why or any of that. But then they want to blame it on, you know, all Christians or all, you know, and that's not fair.
Right. No, it isn't. It really isn't. And it isn't fair. And so you look at that all the way down to, I'm having a discussion with my 18-year-old son that's graduating high school this year. And the last 3 weeks, he's had this shift into a place of blaming others, which, you know, I've preached my whole life, self-responsibility to my children. And I'll just say, well, it's interesting. You might want to take a look at why you're always looking towards them and not looking inward. And just to give that small little reminder to children about self-responsibility. He's 18 and he's a boy. But he thought about it.
You know, it's true. And honestly, blaming others is so much easier. And I get caught up in it all the time, especially with my mom. You know, I look at having lost my dad and being raised by a single mom, there's a lot of blame there, for me. Like, why didn't you this? Why didn't you that? Even me, as a 38-year-old, and I catch myself doing it because it's so much easier.
Yep. It is. But after a while, I don't find it easier. Now I start, going, oh, are you kidding me? Okay. Are you really going to blame everybody else right now? Like, I start laughing, and that's what I love about your lightness in what you do, because you really don't have to take yourself that seriously when you do that. You could just start laughing at yourself.
Well, that's one of the things I think that's so important is I talk about things without shame.
Right.
I'll say, like, I'm filled with shame. I'll talk about that, and people are like, wow. Or I'll let it say about the fact that I still blame my mom for stuff, and I'm working through it, instead of lying about it and saying, it's like I'm still working through that. And yes, you're 100% right. And I know, truth of the matter is, at 38 years old, it's by now, I gotta own this. I can't, but then I'll talk about it instead of either lying about it or pretending it doesn't exist, because then it encourages other people to go, okay, then I'm not alone here. I'm not so crazy for feeling the same way or doing the same things or having the same behavior. And I'm not encouraging it at all.
Right.
I'm talking about it.
Absolutely.
Having a discussion about it, putting it out there.
Absolutely. And I so agree with you. I just wish we could more and more train young people, not train them, but just impart that wisdom. I want my children to know that now, not wait till, in my late 30s, I figured it out. I really.
Me too. Well, very recently. It's still, though, not, sometimes I still have to go, okay, do I have the courage to share this or to talk about this? And every time I do, I'm always grateful. I know. I wish a lot of these lessons I learned younger, and I struggle with that. I struggle with going, I wish I was just 3 years younger. And not for any other reason except, like, having a baby and all these other things that are coming up. And I'm a yoga teacher, someone who talks about being present, and I struggle with the idea of, like, wanting to go back in time. I just think it's important to be honest. And let me be really clear when I say that. I think there's a fine line between being honest and being a jerk. I'm not talking about being a jerk or being mean or any of that. I mean, be honest with yourself, right?
Right.
So, like, yes, I do a whole thing on forgiveness, the F word, I call it. And I say to people, forgiveness isn't always easy. And anyone who says it is either lying or trying to sell some books. Everyone laughs, but it's the truth. It can be easy, but it can be really challenging. That doesn't mean it's impossible.
Right.
It's not like you wake up one day and you just go, I have a cup of coffee and I forgive you. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work. And sometimes you have to keep doing the work. And to be honest about that, it actually gives you a lot of freedom.
Yes, it does. It frees you up. And that's why, that's the whole premise to kind of come back around is with Women for One. It's like, just share your stories without shame. Share your wisdom. Yes. It's okay. Yes. It really is. We all have, for lack of a better word, our shit. We
all have stories.
We all have our stories. And I completely agree. And that's exactly why I started this, because I walk around and I watch all these women holding all these secrets and these stories and judging themselves inside. And I really think it would be valuable for them to just be able to accept it and release it.
I can't even tell you how on the same page I am with that, and that's the whole reason that I started so much more of the sharing in my workshops. It never used to be like that, where people would talk out loud, and I just decided I'm going to take people out of their comfort zone, and I'll on someone, and they'll share out loud. And I say, like, 99.9% of the time, and that's a lot. Everyone says yes, and they just share. Very rarely will someone be like, I don't want to share. And then they always change their mind after everyone does. And it's not in this hokey way either. It's this really way of being free and feeling so now alone. Because once you say these things out loud, you go, I'm not that special. I'm not that. I don't have to hold this inside and be secretive about this. Everybody has something. Everybody's up against something. Everybody has a story.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for such an incredible conversation. For everyone, if you want to find out more about Jennifer Pastiloff, you can go to her website, Jennifer Pastiloff, Pastiloff.com, or find her on Positively Positive or some of the other blogs that she writes for from her website. And you can also go on her Facebook and her different social media outlets to support what she's doing and learn more about all of the wonderful services she offers to everyone throughout the world. Thank you again, Jennifer, for a great interview.